Hello to everyone. Violence against women, a product of impunity, justice for victims, a test of the role of law. The International Women's Solidarity Council condemns in the strongest terms the sexual assault of a woman in the city of Reha or Urfa in Turkey. This crime is a clear violation of the human dignity and fundamental rights of women and should not be considered a single incident. It's a reflection of structures that reproduce gender discrimination, weak protection mechanisms, and a culture of impunity. The persistence of violence against women is not only the result of the behavior of perpetrators, it is also the consequence of inefficiency in prevention, protection of victims, and effective enforcement of the law. Whenever perpetrators feel that there is little chance of accountability, violence is reproduced and public trust in justice and the role of law is damaged. Women's bodies are not an arena for the exercise of domination and intimidation, but an integral part of their dignity, freedom, and inalienable rights. The massive march of women, civil society activists, and democratic institutions in the Sverg Reha region demonstrates a collective will to confront gender based violence and end impunity. Slogans such as "Don't defend the criminals," "Put them on trial," and "We will not be silent," "We will not be afraid," and "We will not surrender" express a clear demand for justice, accountability of responsible institutions, and ensuring women's safety. Activists of the women's movement and the Rosa Women's Association called for the immediate identification and arrest of the accused, independent, transparent, and impartial investigations, and fair trials. This demand is not only the demand of the victims, but also a fundamental condition for maintaining public trust in the justice system and preventing the recurrence of such crimes. Gender based violence is not simply a violation of women's rights, it's a social, economic, and human rights crisis that threatens public security, equal participation of women, social cohesion, and sustainable development. Effectively confronting this phenomenon requires impartial enforcement of the law, strengthening protection mechanisms, public education, and ending any impunity. The International Women's Solidarity Council, while expressing solidarity with the victim, her family, and all women's rights defenders, calls for the identification, arrest, and trial of the accused within the framework of a fair trial, full legal, medical, and psychological support for the victim, and the adoption of effective measures to prevent the recurrence of such crimes. Combating violence against women, in addition to a moral and social necessity, is a legal obligation based on recognized human rights principles and international obligations of states in the field of protecting the right to life, security, human dignity, and equality. Therefore, The International Women's Solidarity Council emphasizes that combating violence against women is not simply a demand of women, but rather a criterion of measuring the level of commitment of states to human rights. The rule of law, equality, and justice. We call on human rights institutions, international organizations, and all women's rights defenders to play a more active role by monitoring the process of handling this case and supporting victims of gender based violence to end the culture of impunity and ensure justice. Silence in the face of violence leads to its continuation. Justice is meaningful when it is administered without discrimination, and no woman loses her security, freedom, or dignity because of her gender. International Women's Solidarity Council, 10th of July 20 10th of July 2026. Till next video in text.